I think what I'll do is turn it over to each of you just for a quick intro. Liz, we'll start with you. We'll go to Amit and then Rishad.
Hi, I'm Liz Bacelar. I had AI and advanced analytics for Under Armour. I come from the Bacelar companies, and this is the first event I'm doing as Under Armour. We were just announced last week.
Hi, my name is Amit Sharma. I'm from Church & Dwight. I lead there the digital marketing, D2C, and media strategy. And I think I'm excited to be here and looking forward. And I think I have done this before with Brand Innovator a couple of years ago, and then we are fortunate to hold these guys coming back to our office as well. So Brand Innovator will be at Church & Dwight in first week of June too. So excited for that too.
I'm Rishad Tobaccowala. I'm a self-employed author. And prior to this, I worked for a company called Publicis.
All right, shall we dig in?
Yeah, let's do it. And if you really want a chair really badly, there's one free chair right here.
Yeah, there is one seat right here in the middle.
Right here.
All right, well, let's get started. So we were at breakfast this morning, so these guys don't have the context for that. So we'll start as if we had not met this morning.
You were taking notes?
Exactly. How can AI-driven personalization be used to create a more meaningful and engaging customer experience? And then have you done that in your current roles, or felt like, have an example of where that's really resonated? So we'll start with whoever wants to start. Amit?
Sure, I'll start. So I think as I think about this question, in my mind, it's not new, and we're experiencing it every single day, right? You think about like when you buy stuff at Amazon, or you're watching a movie at Netflix, or you're hearing music at Spotify, right? So that's very much personalized. I think the machine learning and data help pick up what I want to hear or listen. And sometimes it misses here and there, but majority of it is kind of at the spot what I want. At Church & Dwight, I think, as you all know, we are kind of a medium-sized consumer product company, one of the fastest growing. Sometimes I say it very proud. We are looking at personalization in some different ways. I think like any other CPG, the targeting, looking at the audience is really important for us. And we are now getting into the area of digital twin, where we can really have that real-time insight so we can customize to our consumer and also understand what works for us. The second piece as I lead at the company is the social marketing and the direct-to-consumer. Direct-to-consumer, definitely it is kind of an emerging after COVID. You see a ton of companies that started at Amazon and D2C, and they make an impact for the bigger player as well. And there as well, we are looking at how I can go after the consumer because I got their first-party data, so I can think about the email I can give it to them, or some way, shape, or form, offer them some product and services and the promotion that just works for them from a personalized perspective. The second one from a meaningful side is we're also looking at like social media, and we have a big social media in-house team who does that a lot. And what we're looking at is, for example, Snapchat AI Lens, right? So you can literally put that on your communication, and then you can interact with it, and it's kind of a personalized. When it's come to the brand, we have like a dry shampoo like Batiste, right? So I have a different kind of hair, somebody else different kind of hair, so we make sure that we are interacting with us in a social media space. We try to make it personalized as well. So these are the few examples I think we are trying to do it. I don't think so we have figured it out yet like everybody else, so we are in the journey too.
So for everyone here, raise your hand if part of your job is figuring out what AI, I know this raise your hand questions is so annoying, but just give me this one and I'll give you a gift back. If your job is trying to figure out what AI model is for what is the new thing of the day, and trying to connect that with what consumers need. Like it's your job or part of your job, that you feel that in your heart. Can you raise your hand so I can see? You're not selling the solution, trying to figure out what to do with the solutions. Okay, so let me share something with you that I figured out last week. I was chasing for the past 3 years. I was chasing the understanding of the LLMs, then SLMs, and then there's like this new rise, if I want to add to your headache, of neural networks, and we'll talk about that later. But the point is, it's not about that at all. Now I'm in a different kind of channel. It's really going back and thinking about the data guys, the data department, the data scientists, the people that we didn't really have to know much about. Like when we created the strategy, created the vision, they would get it done. You need to go down to that level right now. For you to do this job correctly of AI, you need to go back to school and understand how data streams work, where are the data points, how data flows, where does it break. And then you start thinking about how to connect the dots. You understand, for instance, that you might not even need a partnership with an LLM directly. You don't even need to talk to them because you can arrange your data in a way that it goes to a specific partner, that everything is plugged there, and just like, like we do with APIs, the LLMs are there, and you can pull this way, pull this that way. It's a thinking game. It's really like a strategy. I feel like I'm playing chess with all these parts, and I did not have the knowledge of the data part a couple years ago the way that I have it now. And when I think about personalization, like right now we're going through a phase of tremendous transformation. I'm not in a position to share a lot because I just started, but a lot of it is in our earnings call. We just had an earnings call. So many things we're building when you think about the site, when you think about the app. In the past, you would fix the site, you would do the app over there. It's not like this anymore. It's the same data stream. So when you deploy a personalization experience, how does it affect everything? How does that data hit the store? How can I do all these things in one go? Remember that omni-channel talk and all that stuff that we talked about? So this is the real opportunity for this to become true. And you're going to see in the next 18 months, the companies are really meant it. They're ready to do those things. And I see in the room a couple of people that were me in those companies in my position, and we had politics, silos. Those silos are being broken in a way that I have never seen before. So real personalization can happen now if you take a step back from the jazzy AI stuff and think about data flows.
So I'll just build on what both of my fine panelists have said. First of all, personalization and AI is not new. AI has been around for 80 years. I studied it 45 years ago. It was a subject called applied statistics. And the best way of thinking about AI is it's data connecting to data. Mm-hmm. So if you were using a Netflix recommendation engine, that was AI. 1/3 of Amazon sales after you check out occurs after you check out, and that's AI, and that was long before anyone talked about AI. So in some ways, it's not completely new, which is the point made. On the other hand, there is something completely new, and that is primarily because of there's much more data than there was ever before. Number two, there's much better learning algorithms than there were ever before. And third, they're much more powerful chips than they were ever before. That has basically created, whether we call it the ChatGPT moment or whatever, occurred slowly. So there's a famous line in Hemingway, it's something about goes something like this: the gentleman went broke slowly and then suddenly. Mm-hmm. And so what happens in the world of AI, it was growing slowly and then it has grown exponentially. And that's the area we are in. And because of that, personalization will get to another level. And one of the levels it's going to get to is the following. We keep talking about finding the right person in the right place at the right time, right? And then what do? We give them sort of the same message. So it's the equivalent of you taking your partner on a gondola in Venice, and it's a moonlit night, right person, right place, right time, and then talking about carpentry. So I believe that we've got the plumbing right, but we've never got the poetry right. And what AI personalization will allow you to do is it allow you to make a personalized interaction versus just a personalized contact. Because now the content or the creative or the interaction will become personalized. So that's just a perspective.
So just building off of that then, how do you build in the human aspect?
So there are a couple of things in the human aspect. The reality of it is, without some form of human aspect, none of you all are going to have a job. I'm already unemployed, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay? So I have already self-liquidated. But here's the deal. I speak to a lot of very senior brand folks, and you need to know a couple of things when I had a real job. First, I have an advanced degree in mathematics and an MBA in finance, so I know a little bit on left brain. And when I had a real job, among the things I did was help purchase companies like Epsilon and Sapient. So let's assume that I know a little bit about that space. But I truly believe that we get so hung up on data and AI and machines, we forget that all marketing is about something very different. So let me ask you, how many people here wear a watch? Any kind of watch? Raise your hand. Okay. Now this one, y'all, is a little bit more of an embarrassing question, so you may not want to raise your hand. But how many of you all have an automobile that you all own? Okay, just a car of any sort. Okay, fine. All right. That means you'll have made two non-data driven decisions. Your phone has a better watch than your watch, and it's far more cost effective to Uber in cities. And that's primarily because if people did not choose with their hearts and then use numbers to justify with their minds, there'd be no marketing. And that's the thing people have to realize. If this becomes non-human and quantitative, there's no reason for a brand at all. And the world's most valuable brands, whether it's Apple, Louis Vuitton, even Novo Nordisk, it's all about how we look, how we feel, what we dream about. And so the future is AI plus HI. You won't be able to do it without AI. But HI is human insight, human imagination, human intuition, and we should think about that. That's where the personal comes in. If there is no personal and there is no human, there is no marketing.
One thing that we talked about breakfast is about, and by the way, I'm going to push you on that watch thing. I'm a runner. I'm a girl with a fur coat and a Garmin watch. So never trade that for anything. We talked about how, for me, AI is augmented intelligence, not artificial. And the way that I let this guide me is that my job is not to dump a bunch of tools in my team to solve their problems, but to empower the team to solve the problems. And that is a huge shift. This was the first time that I walked the floor at NIF thinking, I can build that. Not me personally, my team, we can build that. We can. I think we can build that. I'm going to do a workshop to see if we can build that. No, we need that. They come across like they're a partner. They can help us figure things out. So when you hear that chat about SaaS being service as a software, not software as service, I'm on that boat. If you're selling software, I don't want to talk to you. If you want to sell me service, I want to talk to you, because I'm in the business of building. And I want partners to help me build. I want people that I can co-build your product with you. I want to unlock new features. I want that's like the mindset. And what I've been focused on, it's really empowerment of the team. And now next week we're going to test some of that, because we're going to have an AI day and have everyone build all kinds of things. So that is a mindset I didn't have before.
Very well said. I guess what I love about AI is the I part, inspiring innovation, intelligence. What I'm not so big fan about is the A part, which is artificial. I think just a couple things in my mind. So as a user of AI, like sitting at the commercial side where we look at the people who are building tools for us, technology for us, I think it's very important for me personally to think through that. Is like, end of the day, it's marketing. I'm selling something, fulfilling a need, and hopefully I'm fulfilling it better than my competition in a good way, and just offering that services and product for the people to pick from. 10 years ago, they were picking on in the Walmart shelf or Target shelf. Today, they are looking at endless shelf of Amazon, and I'm making sure that my product, before it's sold, I'm selling to the algorithm. I'm selling to that thing that can really pick my product and show that. I think it is becoming a level field in the senses. It is not about who tricked the system the most, because system is becoming smarter with AI. It's going to genuinely pick what is needed for somebody, right? So this is where the human touch come in. End of the day, last time I checked myself, I'm a human and I'm going to be human till I die, and we all are. I guess the trust and the empathy plays a big role. Look at this room right now. We all are humans sitting here talking to each other. Nothing can replace that experience we have. It could be virtual maybe, but I don't think so. You like a bot sitting here and talking to you, like, okay, let me tell you what AI can do. So that's the first part. So the brand has to live and breathe that every single day. As a brand marketer, I make sure that we're not going away from them. That's the first part. The second part, I don't know Rishad, you agree with me, but I'll say the creativity is going to be the last standing competitive advantage in my mind. AI can build things for me. AI can build system for me. It can look at content. I was talking to one of my colleagues who lead the customer experience department for us, and we were talking about it, like, oh, well, I can build you 7,000 assets. Then I was like, what am I going to do with it? I don't know if I need it. I joined the company 19 months ago, and I had a team that reports to me, social media influencer. Amit, we are looking at, 6,000 influencer, macro, micro, whatever. I said, do we really need that? So I think now with AI, the third thing is we have a problem of abundance. I can do things so fast, so quick, so much, but I think I'm just making sure as a brand marketer that the quality is not compromised.
And that this idea of creativity, for those of you who sometimes have allergic words against creativity, because there are people who say, well, that's whatever, I'd use another word, which is very much like creativity, which is craft. What's going to stand aside and apart from everybody is quality of craft. Craftsmanship. It could be in whether you make great service, or you figure out how to turn code into Lego, or you turn amazing stories. Because if you actually think about it, all of us eventually live and make sense of the world through an interface called storytelling. Right? And what is story? Story is data with a soul. And now what we're going to basically have is both the data looks like it has a soul, because some people believe AI is alive, right? But the other is what will define and differentiate your brands, your company, will be the soul part, not just the data part, but it will be those two combined. And if you aren't very good, go down to the brass tacks on the first one, you won't be able to compete.
Yeah, so I think to your point, then I'll bring it home with the creativity side, right? So we all are like, let's use AI. There is one place we made a decision about 6 months ago that don't use AI, and that example is my social media and influencer team, right? So as a social media team, we produce branded assets. Basically, in other way, I can say that I need to make sure my brand is represented, color, and it's crafted really well, really well. We have Waymaker as an agency, and we work with Publicis too. It's like these guys are like super smart, and they give us clean, nicest assets I can find, right? And we all watch Super Bowl, and we love the ads that come through. However, when we are looking at the assets we are gathering from the influencer, they can be micro-influencer or macro-influencer. All the assets from a brand perspective go through an AI system. But when we start pulling the influencer assets through the AI system, we start looking at our engagement score went down, actually. And then we dig into the data side, and we found out people are not feeling it authentic, actually. It feels very machine. It feels very like, it's not creative, it's not connecting, it's not empathetic, people don't trust it. And we made a conscious choice that for those assets, I really don't want to use AI. I really want to go a little bit scrappier into the system so people can see it's produced by somebody for somebody, right? So that's an example where it's like we really have to be very careful how much we're bringing in and how much we're.
So the uncanny valley with content in a way, right? And on building upon what you were saying, I feel like not everything that we can do right now we should. When you think of yourself as the crafts person that are creating the systems, this new UX that's AI infused, you have to be very intentional when you think about how do you communicate internally? What kinds of communications internally that's okay to automate? Maybe like IT desk kind of stuff, But even IT desk, there are certain issues like when you onboard it that they become a little more emotional. So identify that's the point, that sense to humans. So it's when you think about agentic, I think that the value of talking about agentic right now, even though it's premature in a way, I think it's quite great to be thinking of this whole workflows as processes in which you have to think of each step. Where is machine? Where is human? Where do you slow down? Where's actually good old machine learning that the knowledge is very limited and the possibilities of answers are very limited. You have to think every step of the way. And then when you think about the consumer, different brands are going to be doing different things. It has nothing to do with you being first to market, smarter, conservative. All that's out of the window right now. The best AI that's for you doesn't follow those rules anymore. A smaller brand has much less reputation to lose than our brand does. So you can experiment much more, and you should, right? And if your chatbot on your website says something crazy, you're not going to go down because of that. Maybe you'll become famous because of it. So each one of you needs to create strategies Is it authentic to your situation, to your responsibilities? If you're a public company like we are, right? And then make your decisions very carefully.
I want to just touch on what you said there. We talked about this at breakfast a little bit. What does this do for the indie players, for the smaller ones, like where maybe they have less to lose, they can take more risks? Like, what does this create from an opportunity perspective?
Someone asked me if I was not leading AI for a major retailer today, what I would be doing. I would be a retailer that has 50 bots as employees. You know, I would have my adventure retail site, and I think it's very empowering for you to be a small to mid-sized business owner right now. If it doesn't feel this way, you're not doing your job right. As I said, I'm a big ambassador to go back to school, go back to Coursera. I have blocks in my calendar for me to catch up. If you are not that disciplined to learn, you can't talk right now. Like you just can't, because there's so much knowledge for you to absorb. You don't have to absorb it all, but pick a chunk that makes sense to you and commit to doing it. A CEO of a business of any size right now should understand how they can automate processes in their business. Think about all the softwares that they're paying for. How can I pay less? How can I make this quicker? Think about all the people that you need to hire, the stress points, the bandwidth points that I feel I had more time for this. I feel we need to do more of that. Can AI empower you to do that? And when you say yes, then you have to understand what kinds of AI can I do that. If you don't feel like you're the head of AI kind of knowledge, consult with somebody, invest in that. That process is going to be cheaper than committing to bad solutions or holding back the growth of your company.
So
I'm curious if you agree.
I do. So
His book is amazing. Check his book out. Just came out.
see, that's what we need a plug. Self-employed writer needs a plug. First of all, I agree with you. But here's a key thing. I have always believed that technology, in many ways, is the slingshot that allows David to bring down Goliath. And over history, while yes, certain companies have grown more valuable and very powerful, including the one we currently are at, actually, net, more people have benefited from technology than have not benefited from technology. A very simple example is a lot of people come to me and say there is mainstream media, and then there is this niche thing called influencer. So this is where I go into my math mode, and don't hold me to these numbers because it's from memory, but they're directionally completely correct. There are today approximately something like 78,000 journalists in the United States, of which just a few thousand earn more than $100,000 a year. There are many, many million influencers in the United States, of which 2 million earn over $100,000 a year. The entire journalism industry is less than 17 billion, including advertising, and the influencer industry is projected to be 50 billion by Goldman Sachs. Who's niche? Who's mainstream? It's completely upside down. Right? And we keep thinking in these upside down versions. And my whole stuff is we aren't thinking straight. We're looking upside down. So in effect, given a choice, I would rather be David or Daniel versus Goliath. But if I could, I'd like to be both. So let me give you a suggestion on how to be both. And it works because I did it once upon a time. Not me, but with other people. The first is, the real big benefits of being small is you can hire 50 chatbots as your folks. You can experiment, you can iterate, and you have nothing stopping you. You can just take everybody down or out or whatever you want to do. And nobody even cares, because if you make a fool of yourself, they'll say, okay, the person is a fool anyway, and they've proved they're doubly foolish. That's it. But on the other hand, big firms, big brands, and big companies have lots of interesting things. They have brands, assets, a whole bunch of other stuff which are really, really valuable. So what I would do is don't follow Andy Grove, the late Andy Grove, obviously, who's amazing, was amazing, because you see where Intel is, right? So what did Andy Grove say? Only the paranoid will survive. Well, in a connected age, that's a horrible thing to be, paranoid. You see everybody as a threat. So unfortunately, Intel missed everything from mobile computing to cloud computing to AI computing, because they saw everything as a threat. Microsoft, interestingly, part of Intel figured it out once Satya Nadella came over, and they said there's no more Microsoft operating division, we're going to be open, and we're going to do a whole bunch of other things. So there isn't one model anymore, it's multiple models. So consider a model where you take your existing company and upgrade it, given the modern technology, and then take a small group of your people and give them a very simple task to defeat you. But they report to the same CEO. Okay? That's the only way large companies are going to succeed. They have to have some group of people whose simple job is to basically show the board that they're coming from outside to destroy you or destroy us. And once people know this, because remember this, Luke Skywalker blew up the Death Star because he knew the weak points. But if Darth Vader knew what Luke Skywalker knew, the Death Star would still be around. Okay? That's the key thing a lot of people don't do. They have this choice of, I'm big or I'm small. I said, there's big assets, small assets. Too many people basically say, my innovation team, I said, most people's innovation team, and there are innovation people here, so this is probably no longer true, but when I had innovation teams are what people don't know what to do with people, they put them in innovation teams, okay? Or they put them in futures teams. And I said, bullshit to that, and I bet it was innovation in future, so you can imagine, I'm probably the remnant of all this. But the reality of it is, you run a futures and innovation team, they should be given their own budget, and one of it is you've got nothing that stops you. You've got all the assets of our company, but you have no constraints, excepting legal constraints, ethical constraints, and some financial constraints. That's the way to basically do it, because if not, if I'm given a choice that I can't do both, small will beat big every time in the age we're going into.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to build on what you said and think about a company that is doing it today. And again, this is Church and Dwight, as I'm speaking to that 177-year-old company. We are known for Arm & Hammer. If you look at, we call it Power Brand. There are about 20 of those, and you can see majority of them were acquired. We are a company of acquisition. And what that does to you, it disrupts you a lot. Our two biggest brand right now, which we are very proud of, we have acquired in the last 3 to 4 years, is Hero, Acne Patch, you might have heard the term, and the TheraBreath, which is really growing great in many, many ways. So when we bring those brands in, they're very small indie brand. And what they teach us is that you can be scrappy, but you have to be intentional. You have to understand what's the problem from a business you're trying to solve, and you can use any tool in hand. And I also felt that any big company, even Microsoft or Apple, you think about any other, there is a distinct value that scrappiness and being entrepreneurial bring to the table. I think AI is a tool. If you think about it as a tool, it can become a threat or it can become an opportunity. For us at Church, we have a FOMO, fear of missing out. We're not afraid. We want to be ahead of it, right? And this is where I think the credit goes to our new CEO and the CEO who's departing right now, Matt. He always goes to the stage, it's like, I'm curious. I'm creatively curious. And I love that because we all are creatively curious. We are only 5,000 people company, 6 billion in size. But we just make it happen every single day. We have more to do than we can do in a day. And you know what AI does for me? It's going to take a lot of stuff away from me I don't need to worry about from a manual perspective. Yeah. And that's where it's becoming like productivity game for us, right? So that's where I think, as you said it, like either you get disrupted by somebody else or you disrupt yourself. And at our company, we feel let's disrupt ourselves every few years and then reinvent ourselves. So for us, AI is something that was internet a few years ago. And before that, like I think retailer got a lot of power and those kind of stuff. And I will say that in that way, living that, it is not easy to. Like, I'm not sugarcoating it. It is hard every single day when you go in and you see things are coming in, new colleagues showed up. We acquired Hero as a brand. Majority of those people were millennial, and they showed up and they looked at us and said, like, oh, you guys are old, actually. Like, of course, 177 years. And that whole thing has created whole acne category,
Yes.
which in 2030 is going to be about $1 billion. And it didn't exist 5 years ago, like very small in the sense, I guess.
And very much building on what has been said before, I will give you a way to approach your management and boss and say things to them that get them to see differently without you losing your job.
Yes.
Okay. So I worked with the same company for 37 years because I was unemployable for 37 years. And then the only person who would employ me was myself. So I care a lot about jobs. So I don't tell people like do this, do that, because there's like mortgages and income and all that has to be paid, right? So, and I still do that today where I speak to very senior people and all kinds of people. And I go to them and say, you know what, you're a wonderful company. And I do believe almost every company is wonderful. And you're a wonderful leader. And I do believe people are mostly wonderful. Not everybody, but most. In fact, you're so good that I don't think you can be defeated. That's how I start. So at that stage, your management, your board, whoever you're talking to, like you. Right? Because A, you're saying they're cool, they can't be defeated, you've studied them. This Rishad guy, I like him. Despite what everybody has said, and he doesn't have a job, not bad, okay? Then I say the following line, unless you decide to defeat yourself. And they said, what? I said, unless you decide to defeat yourself, nobody can beat you. And so instead of even using the word disruption, I said, I've written a piece called Self-Defeat. And what I've discovered is no great leader and no great company ever loses. They self-defeat themselves.
Damn, that's good.
Think about it that as an angle.
That's really good. I keep being asked if you heard me speak at Brand Innovators recently about a book that I like about AI, and if you heard me say this before, but I usually say mindset. It's not a technology book, right? It's a psychology book in a way, but that's what we're living right now and what you're describing. So if you work in marketing and implementing AI in your organization, you kind of take a temperature of what mindset are you infused in. If you're not infused in the mindset of growth, right? It's about growth and learning, always seeing where you can go. It's going to be a difficult ride for you. I feel like I'm working on a multi-billion-dollar startup. The culture of our company is a startup. He reminds us every day that it was all born in his grandma's garage, and I love him for it. The energy is incredible. So the curiosity, the growth that's required from you, it's what is required for this moment right now. That's why I feel so grateful, because it's like couldn't be in a better place at the right time. Maybe it wasn't the best place a few years ago. Right? Maybe my mindset was not right, but the mindsets are aligning. So if you can just try to put yourself in the right mindset for your own growth, have the right mindset yourself for you to leverage this moment we're living right now, because it's incredible. So you don't defeat yourself, so you grow.
That's great discussion. We have just a few minutes left, and there's two questions I wanted to get to. So this will be like lightning round, this one. Like, you mentioned the book. What are you guys doing? We can start with Rishad to keep smart on this. It's changing every day. What tools or hacks would you offer the group to stay in front of this to the degree you can, because you can't?
So I would give you 3 simple hacks. First is, starting tomorrow, allocate 1 hour a day to learn. And if you don't do that, you are not going to be able to be competitive. Now, I spend 2 hours a day, and that's not because I don't have a job. It's because it's harder when I get older to know what's going on. But you should spend at least an hour a day learning. That's number 1. So that's 7 hours. Now I'm going to give you 2 sources of potential ways of learning. The first one is free. So it's going to be part of Brand Innovators, according to Mark. But I write a Sunday Substack. So I write a Substack every Sunday, a newsletter. It's completely free. No advertising, no subscription, no harvesting. It's at rishad.substack.com. So rishad.substack.com. I've written 236 weeks. A16Z site and look at the 50 most valuable things. Make sure you subscribe to 4 or 5 of these key platforms, like Copilot and ChatGPT and Anthropic, and I also I'm a big thing of X and Grok. I was just talking to them here because I said that's coming back. So you have to do all of those to have an idea. So all of that is relatively free, and then the one that isn't free is go get my book, because it's going to basically, it's called Rethinking Work, and the only reason is this: it'll help you manage your company. If not, it's the book I wish somebody had written for me 10 years ago, because it's the way work is going, and you should be prepared for that.
Do you want to add on?
Time, I guess.
We can sneak in. No, go fast. Let's do it.
I'll tell only one thing. Do whatever Rishad has said. I read his newsletter every Sunday.
That is free.
Yeah, and the only thing I will add on to that, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Buy a subscription. I have Midjourney, I got Jasper AI, ChatGPT, whatever you can get it. They're not expensive. $30-40 a month, and you can really play with it, and it really tell you what it can do for you, and that you can apply in day job. That's it.
So the book, it's called Co-Intelligence, the Ethan Malik book. It's really amazing. He's a professor at Wharton, and I had the pleasure of taking a course with him. It's fantastic. My tip to you is pretty much one. If you're reading the news to catch up with this, you're doing this wrong. I was a journalist. I don't follow the news anymore for this purpose of learning. I follow the news just to check what's going, for monitoring, not for learning. I learn at Substack. So if you're on Substack, that's where I am. I also learn LinkedIn, following people on LinkedIn who have great Substacks that post pretty much the summaries of what they love on LinkedIn. There's like 3 or 4, just 5 that I really love, and you want to know who they are, just send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll send the list to you.
And one of those, by the way, is called One Useful Thing. It's by Ethan.
So
Malik.
good.
And
So
if there's
good.
one thing you want to learn about, if there's only one source you use for AI, it won't be enough, by the way. It's One Useful Thing by Ethan Malik on Substack.
And the other one is his.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere close to his. And I don't write specifically about AI.
That's great. Well, Liz, I think we're out of time. Amit, Rishad, thank you so much for this discussion. We could go on for hours. Really grateful for you. Thank you, guys.
Everybody.